course it's a gamble. Every time you launch a new commercial aerospace program, you're more or less betting the farm that it's going to be successful.
This isn't just a beautiful wing. Inside this wing are the fuel tanks and a very complex fuel system.
You're working on something so different compared to anyone else. Some of my friends, working down Asda, I get to work on the A380.
As this wing unfolds, you'll see how big it is. You'll see what a massive task it is to take it out. You're actually standing there and you've got 29 ton in the air.
There's so many different parts and you just got to know exactly, like the ailerons and the AGS. If you don't know what they're talking about, you're lost with what to order.
This year we're building 4 wings like this per month. Next year we'll ramp up to 6 per month. It's a tough job for the whole team in the factory, but we'll get there.
Every single component has to be right. We always joke that when the paperwork is heavier than the aeroplane, you're about close to getting it right.
Nestled among farmland in North Wales, this is the Airbus factory in Broughton.
It's the biggest manufacturing site now in the UK, over 6,000 employees. We're enormous. We actually did the sponsored run around the site. I think it was something like 5.5 miles to run around the site.
And the people that helped build the world's biggest passenger jet are arriving for the morning shift.
Has anybody talked to you from...
Factory boss Paul McKinley starts each day walking the factory floor, keen to see for himself that things are running smoothly and no detail goes unnoticed.
It's so much more expensive to dispose of contaminated waste, so we need to make sure that we segregate in the right way. And that's one of the things I do during process confirmation, literally go and have a look in the bins.
When the A380 factory was opened in 2003, it was the largest to be built in Britain for 20 years. But for the people who work here, it's more than just a workplace.
The community feel is important. A lot of the guys live locally to the factory. People are excited by aircraft and love working with aircraft. And I think that's what makes a lot of us stay.
The Airbus A380 Super Jumbo was launched in 2007. And today, there are 53 already working the skies. Having spent an estimated £10 billion developing this plane, the company needs to make as many sales as they can. But building planes on this scale is a monumental task. Aviation history is littered with failed attempts to go this big. Like any big passenger jet, the A380 is first manufactured in smaller sections, with the fuselage, nose section and tail fin made in different sites across Europe. However, the greatest technical innovation on this plane are its enormous wings, and they're made right here in the UK. Broughton has a 70-year history of making wings, so Airbus decided to manufacture its A380 wings here too. Demand for the Super Jumbo is running high, with well over 200 now on order. And so the major task that Paul and his team of engineers face is how to build all those wings on time and on budget.
I mean, the production flow is critical. On A380, we're ramping up. This year, we're building 4 wings like this per month. Next year, we'll ramp up to 6 per month. Our aim is to try and make 6 wings a month with the same number of operators that today we make 4 wings a month.
With an increased order book, it's critical the workforce hit delivery times. If they succeed, they'll secure thousands of highly skilled British jobs for years to come. But any delays in production could have serious consequences.
It's a tough job for the whole team in the factory, but we'll get there. We've got a great team. The attitude of all of our people is to try and succeed on challenges. So I'm convinced we'll get there.
Each set of wings begin life as a collection of raw materials and arrive from all over the world, with some big enough to stop traffic. This cargo of 33-metre-long blocks of aluminium is bound for the panel forming area of the factory, where manufacturing manager Mark Farrell is arriving for his shift. Everything about the wings is on a monumental scale, and the aluminium plates are loaded onto Europe's largest milling machine.
Right, this is the start of the journey. We're starting to mill it now, and this is where it starts. It's a long road, ends up on an aircraft, and when we see it flying over, you get an appreciation that actually that started here at Broughton.
Over a period of 72 hours, the panel, with all of its intricate features, is carefully sculpted out of the metal. By the time they're finished, there's more aluminium in waste than the panel itself, but it's all recycled. The next stage for the perfectly carved panel is to shape it to the precise aerodynamic contours demanded by the designers. So it's sucked onto a specially moulded bed.
The panel's now been moved onto the transfer. It's now getting, the actual shuttle was moving across to line it up now to go into the oven. It is the biggest oven in the country. When the oven was actually brought into Broughton, we had to have British Telecom working with us because all the telegraph lines had to be removed while it travelled through, and then when they'd finished, the lines had to go back up.
Heating the panel to 160 degrees in this massive oven locks the aerodynamic curve in place. The A380's wings can lift 560 tons of Super Jumbo to an altitude of 12,000 metres and fly the world's longest routes. It's an amazing feat of engineering. The reason it's possible lies in the shape of an aircraft's wings. Wings are curved on top and flatter on the bottom. This shape makes air flow over the top faster than underneath. This means the air pressure is lower on top than below, causing the wing and the plane to lift up. The A380's wings are also more fuel efficient per passenger than an average family car, making them the greenest in the skies.
This is the LCM treatments facility in Broughton. This is the biggest surface treatments plant in Europe.
Once they've been heat treated, the enormous panels go through 12 treatment baths to clean and protect them. Europe's biggest surface treatment plant is a fully automated facility operating 24/7.
This is critical to the process. The one thing you don't want is contamination going into the fuel systems. It's an old saying, but there's no hard shoulder at 35,000 feet.
Of the 6,000 or so employees at Broughton, 300 are apprentices, and one of them, Holly McCready, is arriving for day one of a new wing build.
Me and the girls went on holiday last year and we were speaking to people. They were like, where do you work? And I told them that I work at Airbus as a higher engineering apprentice, and I sort of get the, no you don't. More and more girls getting involved in it. It's just a lot of people don't believe that you work here when you say you do. And if they do, it's, oh, you're a secretary then. And I'm not, so. How long does it take to come down then usually?
It takes a good 4.5, 5 minutes for it to come down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's not that quick, you know.
Holly is learning the ropes with the Heavy Gang, the team that work the 12 massive cranes that span the whole factory. Today, a delivery of major components has just arrived and needs unloading.
Right, so as we're coming down slow now, I'm sort of keeping an eye on the silver beam underneath in relation to where it's going to sit.
I'm quite lucky, really, because they're all lovely, lovely fellas. It's a really nice environment to work in. Strangely, you wouldn't think so, but it is.
The job of ensuring that components from all over the world are all delivered on time for the build falls to the people in logistics. And it's what Holly has decided she wants to make her specialty.
Logistics is pretty much what makes everything run in Airbus. On each part that you see, all the nuts, bolts, all the small parts, they're all come through logistics, as well as all the large parts from all the different suppliers. There's hundreds of suppliers that work for Airbus all around the world, so it pretty much keeps everything happening. Without it, nothing will get built. I wanted to be a hairdresser.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You realise you get your first pay packet, though, don't you? Look, there's so many different parts. It's hard getting to graphs, and you just got to know exactly, like, the ailerons and the AGS, because when you come into the factory, if you don't know what they're talking about, like butt straps and things like that, you're lost with what to order, so you really do need it.
The A380 has around 4 million individual components, with the wings themselves containing nearly 500,000 alone. That's not surprising, given they're brimming with technical systems. They carry most of the aircraft's fuel, including a complex system of tanks and pumps. There's 37 kilometres of wiring, piping and ducting that drive all the flight control surfaces. And the wings have to carry 4 massive jet engines, which weigh over 6 tons each. And finally, there's landing gear, capable of withstanding an impact weight of 560 tons and landing at speeds greater than a Formula One racing car. The wing is now ready to be assembled like a giant Meccano kit from the rows of parts that are ready and waiting. To do this, each wing needs to go into a massive construction frame known as a jig, and these are the biggest the aviation industry has ever used.
This is the main assembly jig, the heartbeat of the factory, where the wing starts coming together. The jig is now being prepared to start its production cycle. So as you can see, the guys are just checking all the location fixtures, all the location pins, oiling and greasing, ready for the next set of components.
The heavy gang get to work. First in are the rear spars, 3 long sections that form the spine of the wing. These spars are fixed firmly in place to the 45 locating pins and will bear the whole weight of the wing that'll rise up lengthways in the jig. Over the next 5 days, the team load all the 49 ribs that run across the wing. The ribs are made from aluminium and carbon fibre composites, materials both known for their strength and lightness. Finally, the frame of the wing is fully assembled, and the skeleton is ready to be covered with the huge aluminium panels that form its skin. Giant automated machines drill holes in the panels, a total of 250,000 per wing set. And the panels are lifted into position. After 25 days, the main body of the wing is complete and it's ready to come out of the jig. But it weighs nearly 30 tons and is 4 stories high just lying on its side. This is definitely a job for the heavy gang.
Heavy gang is the lifting team.
Do all the heavy work.
It's not heavy gang because we're all big, fat and old. It's heavy gang because we lift heavy things.
Only the most skilled and experienced crane operators can handle a job like this. And Al Burley is the gang leader. Al has the unenviable task of getting the wing out through a gap with only a metre to spare either side.
We're going to take the wing out, put it on the turnover jig, lay it down safely, we hope. I must have been involved in about 70 to 80 wings.
Down a bit, please, Jerry.
8 years ago, Al lifted the very first A380 wing out of its jig, but this one will be his last.
I'm retiring tomorrow, so hopefully the cheque isn't in the bank yet. I want it to be in the bank before anything goes wrong.
That'll do, Jerry. That's it.
Like a lot of people in Airbus, Al has worked at the company for many years.
13 years, 4 months, 2 hours and 15 seconds. It's been a nice place to be this side. See that sleeve hand on your... Just ease that sleeve out.
It's time to begin preparations for the big lift.
OK, coming down.
Despite its size, the wing is a very delicate object.
I'll put the weight on that afterhand.
The strongest points on the wing are where the 2 engines will be mounted. These titanium brackets will be sustaining the entire weight of the wing during the lift, but must remain perfectly intact after. As the jig is pulled back from the wing, the narrow gap it will have to pass through on its way out becomes obvious.
You want somebody on the very top? I'm on it.
The smallest dent would mean a serious delay, and with the rate of production increasing, there really is no time to spare. The heavy gang work as an orchestrated team to release the wing from its moorings.
Moving all the pins out of the rear spar flags. If they're left in, when we try to lift it, it'll either rip that part off the wing or it'll rip the jig bit out. So it is important to get them all out.
Massive, isn't it? You don't really appreciate how big it is till you stand here, because I'm here. And I've got the rest of the wing, haven't I? It's unbelievable. And it's even more daunting when we take it to the ceiling, because you're actually standing there and you've got 29 ton in the air. As this wing unfolds, you'll see how big it is. You'll see what a massive task it is to take it out.
A final check that all the pins are out, and it's time to release the master pins, leaving nearly 30 tons of wing hanging from the crane at just 2 points.
Right, Al. It's the last one out now.
Ready?
Yeah.
Do it.
Right, the wing's free. I'll get the radio. And on my commands, we'll get it out.
Got the radio. We're ready.
Right. Take it up on the boat one, please.
12-8 on the inboard, 6-9 on the outboard.
Hang on, hold it there. Jimmy, stop. Jim, stop. No. Hang on, it's going to come over. Chris, loosen yours off, tighten yours up a touch, Jim. Right, Al. Take it up again, one on both, please.
19-8, 6-7-5.
Hold it there. Right, Al, we're ready for you to come west. Good. Take that chain off, mate, please. Cheers, Jim.
Going up.
Finally, the largest wing in commercial airliner history takes its first flight. Only now can the sheer scale of the A380 Super Jumbo be truly appreciated. One of its tailplanes alone is larger than the wing of an A320, the favourite carrier of budget airlines. And the wings themselves are a whole 50% bigger than those on a jumbo jet. In fact, this Super Jumbo would be a tight fit in Wembley Stadium. The wings are over 10 metres wider than a football pitch. But covering an area of over 400 square metres, this enormous wing will, when it's finished, fly more efficiently and more quietly than any of its current commercial rivals.
line's broke down. John, can you get us box 1, please? Pardon? Well, that's...
to the lock, to latch it over.
Well, that's what I've got to do. I've got to take it back
right.
that way, because otherwise I won't get it on. See the turning on? Try one at a time.
See, that one doesn't look...
There we go, lads. We're in business.
A momentary loss of signal with the crane is re-established, and they can finish the job off. After 30 years of operating heavy machinery, Al's ready to land his final wing.
Okay, that's the end. We're going home now. These lads here, they're more than capable of looking after the job. We need a couple more because we're going to get busier and busier and busier. But as long as we can get them out as good as this was, we won't have a problem, will we? Okay, is that it? I've got to go. Thank you.
With the wing now out of the jig, it's time to check whether this hand-built creation is actually the right shape.
Right, I'll shoot the top point now. So if you kept that first point, yeah? Laughing. Okay, mate, it's good to go.
Alex Jones has recently become a metrologist, an expert in precise measurement, and it's his job to make sure the contours of the wing are exactly right.
Precision is key in this job. It's got to be right first time, hasn't it? The laser's shot into the 3 mirrors on this corner cube reflector and then bounced back to give us measurements all over the wing so that we can make sure that it's aerodynamic in flight.
The shape of the wing has been painstakingly designed to have particular aerodynamic properties. They make it as efficient as possible.
Because each individual one is handmade, not made by robots. You get some slight variations that need to be sorted out or have the final finishing touches done to them. And we've got set tolerances on each individual point, which can be down to hundreds or thousandths of millimetres.
Okay, mate, yeah.
Next one.
If anything is out of place, it could mean a costly delay to production while it's put right.
What are the figures like, Dave?
Yeah, just looking at the report, mate, they're all in, they're all good.
The team know they can't make a single mistake and are immensely proud of the work they do.
You're working on something so different compared to anyone else. Some of my friends, you know, working down Asda, and I get to work on the A380.
And there are other benefits to working at Broughton. A couple of times a week, Alex and his dad Gary head for the gym, built with the rest of the factory in the 1930s.
It's like a release from, obviously, the pressures of working here. You've got everything that's got to be right. And then you can come here and let off a bit of steam. It's all good.
Fortunately for Alex, he's always been keen on planes.
My dad always used to bring in the little models from Airbus that he'd get. And I knew I'd be working here one day. And here I am.
I think Airbus at Broughton has had a history of families working at Broughton, father, sons, father, daughters, mothers. I've also got a brother working here. I left school in the mid-70s, joined as an apprentice, served the 4-year apprenticeship as it was in those days, and I've worked here ever since.
It's a lot of years service, 35. It's a long way off for me, personally, at the moment, but hopefully I do enjoy working here, so one day I might be able to say that I've worked here for 35 years.
Broughton has a long aviation history. During the war, Wellington bombers were made here, and at one point rolled off the production line at a rate of 1 a day. But another of Airbus's sites in Filton near Bristol has even longer aviation heritage. They've been building planes for over 100 years there, but are probably most famous for developing Concorde, which was designed and tested in its